At the Grand Temple, a command to bring the death row prisoner echoes over a glowing magic circle. Bound in heavy black chains, a small girl with pale lilac hair stands between two armored guards. The bloodied girl, identified as the criminal destroyer Array, stands broken and shackled. As the 17th princess of the empire, she endures the weight of countless chains against her wounded body. She is condemned for defying the emperor's rule and plotting to overthrow the empire. High on his throne, the white-haired Emperor Kreta II watches as the high priest presents her crimes. From a distance, the diminutive princess appears isolated at the center of the massive, glowing summoning array. Arai finds a grim sense of relief, hoping her end will finally bring freedom from her miserable life. The Emperor cruelly mocks her sacrifice, asking if saving the rebels was worth her own life. He laughs at her silence, taunting the mute girl for her inability to defend herself. He revels in her defeat, claiming the very rebels she saved are the ones who condemned her. The Emperor sneers that her supposed companions never truly considered her one of their own. He reveals the ultimate betrayal, announcing that the rebel commander Drak Monarch is being rewarded by the Empire. Looming over her, the Emperor explains that Drak's new title of Grand Duke came at a specific price. Ari's eyes widen in horror as she learns her own death was the condition for the rebels' withdrawal. She recalls her childhood as the shunned, talentless daughter of the Emperor's mistress. Her own mother hated her, blaming the girl's birth for stealing her future. Exhausted by palace life, her mother forced poison into her, stealing her voice and calling her a demon. Abused by her relatives, the girl found her only kindness from the fourth princess, Modai. Modai gently gave her the name Fleur, offering the warmth the Emperor had denied her. Her grief awakened a terrible power, leading the Emperor to bind her with a blood curse as Destroyer Array. He forced her to sacrifice every drop of her blood to empower the Empire. Thrust onto the battlefield as a child, she became a mere tool for her father's wars. She was forced to kill repeatedly, her small hands stained with the blood of countless enemies. Growing into a lethal warrior, she wandered the boundary between life and death for years. Hope finally bloomed when she met companions named Drak, Shebetreef, and Fox. They stood together as a light that illuminated her previously miserable existence. Her companions fought by her side, offering protection and a sense of belonging. They shared moments of warmth and care, treating her like a person rather than a weapon. Their presence gave her hope, a sun-like warmth that filled her heart. The memory shatters into pieces as the reality of their betrayal finally sinks in. She questions if everything they shared was nothing more than a cruel lie. Resigned to a fate of pain and loneliness, she wishes for everything to end. The Emperor declares her death is her destiny, insisting that no one is truly on her side. He raises a sword, refusing to let her die easily before he can reclaim her magical power. Grabbing her by the hair, he promises a curse that will ensure she is reborn as his puppet. He smiles wickedly at his beloved daughter, vowing that she can never escape his grasp. With a sudden strike, he plunges the blade through her chest, splattering her blood across the circle. He vows to break her spirit the moment she is reborn and turn her into a perfect pet. Array collapses as her life fades, the Emperor granting her one final, cruel permission to kill. Surrounded by flames, her spirit cries out in silent protest, claiming she did nothing wrong. Dying in the heat, she wonders why the world is filled with such hatred for her. She reflects on the betrayal and her inability to resist a life she never wanted. In a new scene, a servant announces the birth of twins to the Grand Duke and Duchess. One of the newborn infants, a girl with orange hair, stares upward with tearful eyes. She feels the phantom agony of her previous death, the sensation of her throat being slit. Despite the weight of her suffering, she realizes she has been reborn into a new life. A servant confirms the boy will stay while the girl is to be taken away. The baby girl is carried through dark halls, wondering if she is being returned to the palace. Resigned to her fate, she believes no one would ever want a child cursed as she is. A carriage rattles through the starry night as the reborn girl laments her unwanted survival. Held in a servant's arms, the green-eyed infant realizes with a start they have reached their destination. Peering out from her swaddle, the baby is shocked to see they are not at the palace. As a servant enters the room, she wonders if she is being hidden from the emperor. Though she yearns for freedom, the child considers this reincarnation to be a massive mistake. A shadow looms over her crib, making the baby wonder if her past tormentors have returned. Panic sets in as a maid approaches with a mysterious bowl of green liquid she fears is poison. Haunted by memories of Emperor Kreta II, she realizes a familiar imperial scent clings to the maid. Voiceless and small, the infant silently begs for the woman to stop the feeding. The door bursts open as the black-haired headmaid arrives to halt the suspicious act immediately. The headmaid's kind appearance briefly reminds the child of the warmth she received from Princess Modai. A heated argument ensues as the intruder offers a weak, trembling excuse for her presence. Inspecting the bowl, the headmaid identifies it as overcooked scalding soup and apologizes for the scare. She sternly scolds the servant for leaving the room in such a cold, unlit state. With a firm command, she sends the careless maid to prepare a fresh, properly cooled meal. Left alone with the child, the black-haired woman looks down with a genuine, caring smile. Cradled gently, the baby learns of the household chaos surrounding the twins' early arrival. The maid explains that the child must stay at a separate residence while things settle. She formally introduces herself as the personal attendant who will serve the young lady. She playfully mentions the Grand Duke's soft floral memories of Princess Modai fill the child's mind as she experiences this new warmth. The maid is startled to notice a sudden, knowing change in the baby's golden-haired expression. Terrified of being discovered, the green-eyed infant tries to mask her mature awareness. Overcome by the baby's cuteness, the headmaid decides not to hold back her affection anymore. A tender kiss on the forehead marks the start of an unexpected, loving bond between them. The attendant conveys a welcoming message from her mother, the Grace the Grand Duchess. Still reeling from past trauma, the infant is confused by these signs of genuine parental care. She bestows the name Ale Simonstus, explaining its beautiful meaning within the forest. Surrounded by imagery of flowers, her parents' sincere prayers for a bright future are shared. The attendant encourages her to grow up strong without a single worry in the world. Reflecting on a past filled with betrayal, Aiel continues to doubt the very concept of warmth. Resting against her caretaker, she finds the steady rhythm of the woman's heartbeat strangely comforting. Being held in these arms feels like the refuge she never thought possible. The sensation of safety is as immersive and soothing as soaking in a pool of warm water. Aiel wonders if this life might finally be different from her previous cycle of misery. Voices of the past whisper love and prayers for the soul formerly known as Fleur. Red threads of destiny bind her to these prayers as her new journey begins. Drifting to sleep, she finds the nostalgic voices of love lingering in her mind. Time passes quickly as the head maid dutifully feeds the growing, golden-haired toddler by the window. Adorned with a cat-shaped clip, Aiel grows into a healthy and quiet child in the nursery. Showing a brilliant mind, the toddler spends her days focused on books among her toys. With the maid's patient guidance, Aiel takes her first steps toward an ordinary childhood. The Simonstis Grand Ducal residence stands as a majestic castle nestled deep within a lush valley. Now older, Aiel sits on a swing in a sunny garden, pensively reading a book. She reflects on 3 years of comfortable isolation within the walls of this grand mansion. A horrifying realization strikes as she identifies Simon Nestis as the family that demanded her death. Staring at the grand greenhouse, she wonders if the gods have played a cursed trick on her. The child questions why she was reborn in the territory of her greatest archenemy. A map highlights the Simonstis Grand Duchy, the girl's new home. The girl laments her distance from her parents as a maid opens a door. She recalls her new father, Iverson Simonstis, a gentle forest mage. Despite his reputation, her memories of Iverson remain cold and distant. Her mother, Jen, is a legendary warrior, but seemingly cold and sickly. Aiel struggles with her rebirth in the territory of the Empire's archenemy. A red-haired lady appears on a recruitment advertisement for various scanlation positions. A purple-haired chibi character cheerfully thanks the reader for using the website. Gossip spreads among the maids about the strange, isolated young lady. Aiel reflects on her mutism and the rumors surrounding her confinement. She finds peace in her current life compared to her previous abuse. Molly, the black-haired head maid, fiercely defends Aiel from the staff's disrespect. Molly demands a sincere apology from the maids for speaking ill of Aiel. The head maid encourages the young lady to stand up for herself more. Ayla silently thanks Molly for her constant protection and genuine care. The head maid questions what worries could possibly burden such a young child. Molly brightly announces that today is a very important day for Aiel. In a lavish reception room, a blonde man waits patiently on a sofa. Aiel is shocked to learn her father is waiting to meet her. Molly reminds the girl of her etiquette training before the big meeting. Memories of her previous father's cruelty and verbal abuse haunt Aiel's mind. The former emperor's laughter echoes as he reminds her she has no allies. Captain Trey Quinn formally announces Aiel and Molly's arrival at the reception. Aiel enters the room with a somber and hesitant expression. She enters the grand reception room where 2 men are waiting. With practiced grace, the young girl offers a formal, silent bow. Iverson stares at the child, questioning if she is truly his daughter. Aiel finds her new father's sharp, intelligent gaze intimidating and hard to approach. The girl trembles as she confirms this man's identity as her new father. Overwhelmed by anxiety, the child stands paralyzed and sweating before the Duke. Iverson asks if a mere greeting is all she has to offer him. Traumatic memories resurface of being called disgusting for her poor social standing. She recalls being mocked for thinking she could stand equal to true royalty. Cruel voices from the past insist that a weapon deserves no special treatment. The Emperor's brutal violence and threats against her loved ones flood back. Past voices condemn her and her soldiers to a life of misery. Aiel remembers the horrific moment the Emperor threatened her mother's life. The child clenches her small fists as the weight of trauma returns. Terrified of dragging others into her mess, Isle attempts to flee. Noticing her distress, Iverson reaches out to the cowering, wide-eyed girl. Isle braces herself for impact, fearing her new life is becoming a nightmare. To her absolute shock, the Duke gently lifts her into his arms. Cradled by her father, the confused child wonders what his true intentions are. Iverson holds his daughter close against the backdrop of a grand room. With a rare, soft smile, he offers an unexpected apology to the girl. Isle wonders if her father can actually read the thoughts in her mind. Iverson's telepathic response confirms he can hear her every silent, panicked thought. Despite the comfort, Isle finds herself unable to voice her lingering fears. Iverson gazes upon his daughter with newfound warmth and deep affection. He reassures her that her suffering does not mean her life is over. Iverson cradles Ale, his expression radiating unexpected tenderness. Staring into the distance, Isle silently questions why she was left behind. Iverson suggestively invites her to visit the observatory to see the view. At the tower, the Duke admires the scenery Isle has grown to love. Isle remains suspicious, sensing her new father is hiding a secret. The blonde man looks down with a contemplative and slightly melancholy expression. Isle wonders about his motives as Iverson asks which scenery she prefers. Standing together at the railing, they share a quiet moment of observation. Iverson points toward the mountains and forest, curious about his daughter's preferences. Isle reflects on how her reincarnation gifted her with supernatural eyesight. From her high vantage point, the girl gazes at the distant city. She focuses on a toy shop window housing a one-eyed stuffed bear. Memories surface of the expensive, artisan-crafted bears when they were a pair. A master artisan from the Ashuradan Duchy crafted these luxury masterpieces. Their eyes were the centerpiece, glowing with a magnificent and mystical light. The gems were fossils of ancient dragons, flickering with an ice-blue flame. Excited customers frequently crowded the shop window to admire the artisan's work. A massive, eager crowd gathers, pushing closer to see the rare bears. Amidst the chaos of the crowd, one bear is accidentally knocked over. The bear hits the ground, and its dragon crystal eye shatters completely. The shopkeeper's fury is futile, as no single person can be blamed. He stores the perfect bear away and discounts the broken one heavily. No one wants the damaged luxury item despite its origin and beauty. Isle relates the bear's lonely, broken story to her own past misery. She recalls watching the discarded bear through the glass on rainy days. Despite the damage, the bear always sat proudly watching the city's passers-by. Its remaining blue eye continued to flicker with a resolute, fiery light. The broken bear became a silent pillar of support for the reincarnated girl. Envious of its courage, Isle made visiting the observatory her daily ritual. She laments that her mutism prevents anyone from understanding her inner world. Isle struggles with the inability to convey her feelings to those around her. Iverson acknowledges that she seeked both the courage and freedom he represents. The Duke's gentle touch on her head offers a small, warm comfort. Extending his hand, Iverson invites his daughter to finally join him. Ale sits in a regal carriage as servants prepare for their departure. Clad in a floral hat, the girl gazes out with visible anxiety. Past trauma makes her deeply cynical about the very idea of home. She fears this new family will eventually abandon her like the last. The child expects to be disliked and ignored by her new household. Powerless and small, she feels like a pawn being moved by others. Iverson enters the carriage, apologizing for the delay before they depart together. He ensures Ale is seated safely as their journey finally begins.
Iverson encourages her to enjoy the sights of her first real outing.
With a solemn gaze, the Duke promises to protect Isle at all costs. Isle looks down, struggling to process her father's intense and protective words. A sudden, sharp rattle sounds as the carriage traverses the city streets. The procession moves through the town toward an unknown and frightening fate. Iverson watches his daughter's quiet reaction from the seat across from her. Looking out the window, Isle remembers Jen, her seemingly cold warrior mother. Jen receives a mysterious wooden box from a masked, orange-haired subordinate. A sudden, violent strike shatters a peaceful afternoon. A blue blade flashes before Fleur's determined eyes.
Iverson looks down with a heavy, melancholic heart.
Iverson breaks the silence to speak with Isle.
Isle stares intently toward the bustling city streets.
They arrive at a charming local toy shop. Memories of a discarded, beloved toy haunt her. Traumatic shadows of past abuse resurface within her. Isle huddles in despair, feeling unworthy of love. A sudden screech sounds as Iverson stops the carriage. The Duke invites his daughter to explore together. Iverson carries Isle toward a wonderful new surprise.
The shopkeeper welcomes the Duke with great enthusiasm.
A perfect luxury teddy bear sits on display.
Isle explores the incredible selection from Iverson's arms.
She worries about appearing vulgar while staring intently. Her father asks her which toy is best. He plans to buy gifts for the family. Isle wonders why he values her young opinion.
Iverson apologizes for his forgetful and clumsy mistake.
He sets her down to browse alone briefly. Iverson encourages her to return if she tires. The adults move deeper into the fine shop. Isle rushes toward the window with great longing. The broken bear sits alone behind the glass. She makes her final, tearful peace with him. Isle whispers a silent, heartfelt thank you. Her small hand touches the bear's shattered eye. She feels a familiar flame within the gem. Isle gives the bear a final, loving hug. She hopes the bear's long suffering ends soon. She admires its brave and resolute, shining smile. Isle walks away with a final, quiet goodbye. Shattered memories reflect her painful past and present. Isle cries, relieved to have said goodbye properly. A quick gotcha click sounds as they return. Isle gasps as her father presents the bearer. A heart-shaped tag bears a loving, personal message. Iverson chose the broken bear just for her. He offers the gift with a warm smile. Disbelief and shock fill her as she watches. Iverson presents the bear amidst many beautiful flowers. He acknowledges the bear's painful and shared history. The bear's remaining eye glows with mystical magic. Isle looks up at her brave new companion. She reaches out to touch its soft fur. Tears of pure, overwhelming happiness flood her eyes. She hugs the bear, finally letting go completely. Two abandoned souls are finally together at last. Isle wipes her face as the scene ends. Iverson expresses his joy at seeing Aile's happiness. Calculations about the bear's price leave Ale feeling scammed. A playful poke on the cheek lightens the mood. Iverson promises his daughter anything her heart desires. The Duke begins a sentence he cannot finish. Isle stares ahead with a deeply contemplative gaze.
Iverson questions why she was raised in another mansion.
Hardened by past agony, Isle struggles with trust. She decides to give fatherly love a chance. Isle vows to embrace being a loved child. Comparing luxury plushie prices leaves Iverson utterly bewildered.
Iverson erupts in laughter while embracing his daughter.
Molly delivers a fierce, multifaceted scolding to the clerk. Isle finds the complexities of adult life chaotic.
Iverson requests secrecy regarding the bear from her brother.
Startled voices echo as the Duke's return is announced.
A knight delivers the return message to the Duchess.
The blonde woman eagerly plans a grand welcome. A sudden, violent coughing fit stops her colt. Coughing blood, she orders all party preparations halted. The carriage finally arrives at the grand estate. Iverson reads to Aiel, questioning her love for stories. Isle denies liking stories while clutching her bear.
She chose the book to appease her persistent father.
Not wanting to disappoint him, she took a chance. To her surprise, Iverson reads the book aloud. His comforting voice fills her heart with love. Faded memories of being read to long ago resurface. Cherishing this small memory, she cannot reject him. A quick, sharp knock sounds as they finally arrive. The carriage pulls up to the massive mansion. Upon arrival, Isle senses an unbearably heavy atmosphere. The maid's grim demeanors confirm her mounting suspicions. Tina Millard announces the welcome banquet has been postponed. Molly is summoned immediately to the Duchess's chambers. With a solemn nod, the head maid departs. Iverson continues to hold his silent daughter close. Tina orders Isle to her room without greeting. Heartbroken, Aiel assumes her mother truly dislikes her. The cold expressions of the maids reinforce her fear. Iverson reassures Aiel that everyone is merely worried. He insists her mother loves her despite the illness.
Cynical and weary, Isle wonders if it's all lies.
A sudden, sharp groan sounds as Iverson collapses. A surge of green magic erupts from the Duke. Thorny vines erupt as Iverson orders Tina away. Tina quickly shields Aiel's eyes and pulls away. Being handed away makes Isle feel abandoned once more. Iverson realizes his suppressive medicine has completely failed. Supported by a knight, Iverson trusts she'll be okay.
Tina describes the quiet, specially prepared room.
The head maid takes her leave after introducing the quarters. A quick, sharp slam sounds as the door closes. She recalls the fiery battlefield of her past life. Memories of eternal confinement and surveillance haunt her mind. A monstrous king's cruel voice echoes her worthlessness. She vividly remembers begging Modai to stay.
Blood splatters as Ari faces a final, brutal strike.
Betrayed by Alay, her former life ended in despair. Isle weeps in bed, longing for a better fate. She mourns the comrades she saved but ultimately lost. A final, heart-rending goodbye from Array lingers. In the void, she questions why everyone betrayed her. The child clings to sleep, begging for companionship. A radiant goddess scatters stars over the sleeping girl. A bright morning sun shines through the manor windows. Isle wakes up feeling deeply melancholy and alone. She recognizes a familiar, nostalgic melody from the night.
The girl is certain it was her past lullaby.
She recalls peaceful moments spent with her former camp. Hiding under the sheets, she fears her new surroundings. Molly enters the room with a gentle morning greeting. Isle rushes into the maid's arms, seeking safety. Overwhelmed with relief, she realizes Molly actually returned. Molly promises never to abandon her in this house. The maid's warm embrace provides a newfound sense of security. A blonde woman stands silently near a distant doorway. Looking frail, the Duchess retreats into the shadows.
Molly looks back as the atmosphere shifts slightly.
Isle admires her new dress in the ornate mirror.
Molly suggests a refreshing walk through the garden.
The girl scampers off to fetch her favorite book. Molly notes her desire to read before their outing.
The maid encourages her to explore the grounds first.
Isle worries about being hated by the other servants.
She fears mean words will ruin her small happiness.
Past trauma of being bullied as a servant resurfaces. Molly mentions a beautiful field of chamomile nearby.
Isle's eyes widen with pure excitement at the invitation. They begin their trek through the lush manor forest.
Cynical as ever, Isle wonders if it's a trick. Molly explains the distance as other maids approach.
A quick swish sounds as Ale ducks behind Molly.
Molly professionally handles the staff's greetings and inquiries. Ale notes how Molly's presence banishes the heavy atmosphere. Molly offers a magical shortcut to save their energy. A shimmering chime sounds as magic activates.
They suddenly arrive at the edge of the field.
Molly lifts Ale into the sea of blooming chamomile.
Isle gazes in awe at the spectacular sunlit meadow.
Isle and Molly enjoy the sunlit chamomile field.
The nostalgic floral scent triggers memories of Modai.
Array remembers receiving a simple flower from Modai.
Isle releases a soft and melancholic sigh.
Molly suggests offering a prayer for divine aid. They approach the sacred statue of goddess Kana. Ancient lore describes the creation of the world.
A legendary knight once received the goddess's oracle.
Doubting her worth, Isle prepares a wish.
She wishes for her father's true happiness. She prays for her mother's swift recovery.
Isle hopes no one suffers because of her.
She seeks happiness for all who love them.
A comforting hand rests on the child's head.
Iverson promises to grant his daughter's every wish.
He reassures her that the forest goddess loves her.
Cynical, Ale wonders if these are empty words.
She finds her father's sudden disappearances deeply untrustworthy.
Iverson offers a sincere and deeply heartfelt apology. He regrets failing to visit her mother together.
Isle looks up at him with quiet suspicion.
She notes that apologies cannot erase his disappearance.
Iverson explains a childhood injury caused magic instability.
He kept his distance to avoid scaring her. The Duke begs his young daughter for forgiveness. Isle realizes her father suffered through great pain. He credits her prayers for his quick recovery. Glad yet confused, Isle examines a white flower. Iverson gently pats Isle on the head.
He mentions Molly has prepared tea nearby.
The Duke invites her to walk together. Isle scampers ahead through the blooming chamomile field. They walk together toward the garden tea party. The vast meadow glows under the bright sun. Molly welcomes them to the beautifully prepared table. Iverson asks what she would like to do. He lists many activities, but she cannot choose. He suggests using flower divination to decide. A sudden burst of green magic illuminates everything.
Isle hesitantly asks to read books instead.
He promises a visit to the library later. A quick, sharp clap sounds as Iverson signals. The servants arrive holding various colorful plush toys. Isle recognizes the once frightening staff from before.
Iverson presents this special surprise for his daughter.
A playful puppet story begins with 4 friends. A dark demon king threatens the forest residents. A sudden, sharp cashing sounds as darkness strikes.
A metallic clang-clang rings as she is cursed.
Clutched by trauma, Isle finds the story suffocating.
The narrative explains how the rabbit princess inspired her companions.
They seek the bear knight's strength for their mission. Molly invites the young lady to join the game. The Duke roleplays as a powerful ally for the forest. He commands the toys to save their beloved princess.
The companions charge forward with a determined battle cry. Isle watches the dramatic puppet show with wide eyes. The narrative concludes the story with the rabbit princess's rescue.
A staff member conceding defeat completes the Duke's grand performance.
Iverson asks for her thoughts while Aiel recalls yesterday's coldness. The child is moved by the unexpectedly warm atmosphere. Iverson explains his previous absence was due to her mother's illness.
He describes the head maid's long-standing loyalty to the family.
Iverson clarifies that Tina's stern actions were to protect Aiel.
Isle listens quietly while hugging her new teddy bear. Tina expresses the staff's unwavering love and desire for trust. The entire group bows deeply, begging for their lady's belief. Iverson stands silently as his daughter processes the sincere apology. Molly offers a kind smile toward the blonde Duke. Iverson enthusiastically suggests a fishing trip to the nearby lake. Isle spots a mysterious observer hiding behind a distant tree. Knights present an overwhelming variety of fishing rods and bait. A maid offers refreshments as the knights await her choice. Maids present a vast selection of handmade treats for her.
Tina and a chef explain options for their future catch.
Overwhelmed by the crowd, Isle desperately craves some quiet solitude. Iverson dismisses the staff, keeping only Molly for their outing.
The servants salute as Isle offers a quiet word of thanks.
Isle fishes in silence, exhausted by the staff's intense enthusiasm. She wishes to dive into the water to find peace.
Iverson helps his daughter cast her line into the river.
He asks about her interest in fishing while she contemplates. Isle reflects on past memories of fish that were never pleasant. Flashback. Cruel men force the young warrior to fish for food. Flashback. Collapses on a beach after a grueling battle. Iverson recalls how he fell for her mother while fishing. Isle realizes sharing hardships can lead to unexpected wonder.
Iverson gazes at her with a gentle and understanding smile.
Isle wonders why her cynical thoughts are being challenged. A sharp metallic clatter sounds as she recalls losing everything. A sudden, tight grip sounds as Aiel attempts to flee. The child struggles and pleads to be left alone.
Iverson worries about her anger while she regrets showing emotion.
A quick, rhythmic swinging sound echoes as he plays with her. He kisses her forehead with pure, unfiltered fatherly affection. Isle fears punishment, but Iverson grants her total, absolute freedom. He vows she can do exactly as she pleases here.
Iverson admits he has watched her holding back for long.
He celebrates her first day back as a wonderful success. Iverson jokingly admits he may need medication for his enthusiasm.
Isle watches Iverson and Molly from behind a tree, feeling a strange gaze once more.
She feels observed even as her father and the maid stand in the distance. Iverson and Molly stand nearby as Isle reflects on the heavy guard presence. A sudden exclamation of wonder fills the air amidst a backdrop of floral patterns. They arrive at a breathtaking, multi-level library filled with countless volumes. Iverson notes the impressive collection, while Aiel recalls her past struggle to learn. Holding a book on magic, the child remembers her desperate attempts to survive. Iverson surprises Isle by granting her full access to the library whenever she wishes. He playfully warns her not to fall asleep here or she might catch a cold. Iverson leaves to prepare a meal, noting the library's restricted nature for others. Left alone, Isle admits to herself that she lacks a specific favorite book. She focuses her resolve on the urgent need to find specific information.
The child seeks answers regarding her blood curse and reincarnation in an enemy land.
Frustration sets in as she realizes books on those taboo subjects are missing. Her eyes drift upward toward the highest, most unreachable shelves in the room. Isle begins to climb with a determined, quiet heave sounding. A sudden, sharp slip occurs as the child loses her footing on the shelves. Iverson catches his daughter midair, preventing a dangerous fall. He smiles warmly, relieved he returned in time to save her. Isle is stunned to realize her father is not angry with her recklessness. Iverson mistakes her research for interest in a novel unsuitable for her age. He reveals that stories about reincarnation and blood curses are not in the library. The Duke explains the Empire purposefully destroyed all records on those topics. Flashback. Iverson and Jen watch helplessly as soldiers burn the duchy's historical documents. The Empire's soldiers systematically purged every library to erase forbidden knowledge. Soldiers abducted baby girls while mothers wept for their stolen children. The Imperial envoy's assault caused Jen to go into premature labor. As monsters attacked and Iverson's magic failed, their child was born into chaos. To protect her, they announced a son's birth and hid their daughter's existence. Iverson recounts his years of heartache and his secret heartache to deliver supplies. Isle realizes the baby girls the Empire hunted were actually her. Memories of the Emperor's cruel taunts about the terrifying blood curse resurface. The child wonders if she is truly an ill-omened person as claimed. Isle feels the weight of her parents' sacrifice despite the suffering she caused. Iverson hugs her tightly, reaffirming that she is their precious and beloved daughter. He stands with a look of absolute cold determination toward their enemies. Iverson promises to guarantee her safety now that she has returned home. He assures her the duchy is strong and Yen's health will soon recover. The news of Emperor Greta II's death brings a grim sense of relief. A temporary truce among throne contenders has halted the abduction of girls. Iverson vows that the rising duchies will fight the Empire until the end. Isle looks up with a mixture of shock and newfound hope. Iverson embraces her, admitting how much he hated every second they were apart. He explains that Jen is waiting for better health before announcing Aile's existence. Happiness at being loved competes with a lingering, wordless sadness in Isle's heart. She fears the curse's return and the destruction it might bring to her family. Despite her fears, Isle decides she can trust this father, at least a little. She considers whether it is finally safe to ask him about the curse. Iverson playfully signals for silence, claiming he is too tired for more talk. He carries his daughter away with a soft and contented smile. Iverson carries his daughter away, promising they will talk later. Isle sits at the grand table, looking incredibly melancholic and lonely. Molly urges the child to eat the overwhelming mountain of food. Feeling watched, Isle runs off to catch a mysterious observer. She chases a figure through the garden, but struggles to keep up. A quick, sharp trip sounds as she falls into a woman's arms. The child is awestruck by the woman's stunning, celestial beauty. They share a silent and piercing moment of intense eye contact. Molly arrives out of breath as the mysterious woman vanishes. Isle stares into the empty garden, wondering where she went. Molly leads the confused girl back toward the manor for dinner. Hidden behind a tree, the blonde duchess watches her child leave. Molly tucks Aile into bed and wishes her sweet dreams. Lying awake, Isle worries about the looming and dangerous prophecy. A cold, snowy vision of a mother figure haunts her mind.
Memories resurface of a mother forcing her to drink bitter potions.
The past mother cruelly laments having a daughter in her life.
Isle recalls the physical agony of a failed magical concoction.
A painful, gurgling sound echoes as she begs for her life. A secret goddess gazes down at the sleeping, troubled girl. Radiant hands scatter stars over the child's deep and restless sleep.
Isle wakes up to find the Duchess sitting on her bed.
She realizes the beautiful woman from before is her current mother.
The Duchess is overwhelmed with emotion while looking at her daughter.
She collapses to the floor and weeps in utter, heart-rending despair.
Tina asks the prone Grand Duchess if she is feeling all right. The majestic castle stands silent under the bright and full moon.
Isle clutches her bear while Molly watches her with concern.
The Duchess remains seated nearby, looking distant and deeply pained.
Isle confirms that the Duchess is indeed her biological mother.
She senses no malice, but remains cautiously untrusting and weary.
Tina relays the order for the young lady to rest immediately.
The Duchess watches from the shadows, longing for her child's love.
Isle recalls a sweet and nostalgic lullaby from the previous night.
The Duchess stands before Isle wearing a heavy military coat. She stares at her daughter with a cold and intense gaze.
Isle remembers her mother cannot speak during these sudden visits.
The blonde woman examines her daughter with deep, silent longing.
Molly stands by as the Duchess approaches the child's bedside.
Tina warns the Duchess to be careful with her spoken words.
Isle wonders if she's said something strange to offend her.
The child finds her mother's presence truly terrifying and frightening. The Duchess reaches out, pleading for some form of connection.
Isle hides under the covers to avoid being hit or hurt.
Seeing her fear, the Duchess gives up and turns away.
She leaves the room after acknowledging the child's silence.
Molly tries to coax the frightened girl from under the covers. Past traumas of her mother's terrifying cruelty resurface vividly.
The Duchess is devastated by her daughter's intense and visible fear. Tina helps the sobbing Duchess flee the room in shame. Jen weeps, blaming herself for everything that happened. Molly finds the Duchess and asks what is wrong.
Jen admits she fell while Molly helps her walk.
The maid carefully tends to her lady's sprained ankle.
Iverson rushes in, worried after hearing about Jen's injury.
Tina teases that the injury will be a massive headline. Jen crossly tells the group not to tease her. Molly and Tina laugh at the Grand Duchess's reaction.
Jen demands they stop making fun of her immediately.
Tina's laughter only makes the lady feel more flustered.
Iverson tries to calm Jen as she continues complaining.
Tina scolds Jen for wandering around against medical advice. She urges Jen to consider the child's fearful perspective.
Tina acknowledges Jen's love despite the secrets she hides.
Isle looks down with a sad and distant expression.
Tina expresses her shared concern for the young lady.
She warns that bluntness will only close Isle's heart.
Jen cries, desperately wanting to reach out to Elle. She laments being too weak to even hold her. Chains of self-hatred bind Jen as she weeps alone.
Iverson hugs his wife, letting her cry on his shoulder.
A hand offers tea, hoping for her lady's recovery. Tina brings the warm drink to the grieving couple. Jen drinks the tea, promising to recover for Ale. Tina watches the Grand Duchess with a soft, caring gaze.
The couple reaffirms their promise to protect Aiel together.
Jen insists they cannot flee when their child needs them. Iverson reflects on his mistakes while questioning Jen's resolve. The Grand Duchess firmly vows never to repeat past errors.
They worry that Aiel might never fully accept them.
Jen plans to comfort her daughter the following morning. Iverson suggests they decide on their next steps later. A sudden, rhythmic thudding sounds as the maids flee.
The maids pray for the family's future and happiness. A stunning, red-haired woman with fox ears appears momentarily.
Morning arrives as Iverson brings flowers to the room. He finds the bed empty except for a bear. Tina blames last night's events for the child's disappearance. The Duke and Tina search the manor for Al. They find Isle and Jen hiding under separate blankets.
Iverson wonders what is wrong with the blanket bundles. He jokingly calls his wife a fool for hiding.
Isle peeks out from her blanket with wide eyes. Iverson complains that his wife's words always hurt him. He mentions Jen's flustered reaction to seeing Isle yesterday. Iverson lifts his blanket and invites Isle to join. Isle finds it stifling and tells him to back off. The child scampers away, leaving her father feeling rejected. Isle stares back with a suspicious and heavy gaze. Memories of a cruel mother haunt Aile's current despair. Iverson identifies Isle as the former Grand Duke's daughter. A legendary warrior's soul inhabits the child's small frame. Iverson laments watching his daughter cry for years. Isle listens with a somber, wide-eyed expression. He explains that Jen's distance is born from love.
Isle feels guilty, but Iverson corrects her misconception.
He admits the mother needs more time to heal. Iverson asks his daughter to try not to hate Jen. A warm and comforting hug reassures the worried child. He fears that a misunderstanding would worsen Jen's health. Iverson suggests they create a gift to cheer her. Isle struggles with a chaotic mess of art supplies. The child feels foolish due to her clumsy efforts. She worries about failing to meet her father's expectations. Iverson finds her lack of artistic talent genuinely amusing. Isle remains concerned about the quality of the gift. He reassures her that sincere feelings outweigh craftsmanship. Isle considers her only useful skill from her past. She asks Iverson to prepare specific ingredients for her. A proud head pot rewards the girl's sudden initiative. Shelves of herbs and precise scales await her work. Maids prepare a laboratory as the group enters. Isle walks confidently toward the bubbling cauldron.
Iverson expresses absolute faith in his daughter's abilities. A vision of miraculous health boosts flashes before them.
He smiles, having known his child possessed hidden greatness. Jen discusses the duchy's security while working in her office. An officer reports the successful elimination of Imperial spies. Jen remains cautious, ordering protection for her daughter. Molly delivers a small, mysterious gift to her lady.
Jen is shocked to learn Aiel made the present.
The Duchess attempts to hide her overwhelming excitement. She asks eagerly if Aiel sent her a token. Flashback. Expertly stirs a large cauldron of potion. Jen is startled by the child's bold pharmaceutical methods. Molly suggests a medical check before testing the drink. A loud, choking cough sounds as Jen drinks everything. Molly rushes to help her struggling and coughing mistress. Jen realizes the taste is profoundly and strangely nostalgic. A silver-haired figure from a past life appears clearly. Jen wonders if her daughter remembers her previous existence. She demands to see the child immediately in person. Isle and Iverson enjoy a quiet moment of reading. Jen approaches them while being supported by her maid. Tears well in her eyes as she watches them. Molly warns that excessive strain will hurt her ankle. Jen vows never to repeat her past parenting failures. She orders a grand mansion-wide celebration for Ale. A radiant and determined smile lights up Jen's face. Molly bows deeply, accepting the orders for the party.
Iverson shares a pleasant reading session with Aiel.
The young girl cheers happily at her father's words.
Molly enters the bedroom to offer her greetings.
Aiel joyfully clings to the maid's long skirt. Molly laughs while Iverson playfully admits his jealousy. The maid describes the Duchess's reaction to the gift. She notes Jen's shock over Aiel's pharmaceutical skill. Molly confirms that the Duchess loved the medicinal drink.
Aiel peeks from behind Molly with wide eyes. Iverson watches with a calm and gentle expression.
Molly explains Jen wants to apologize for her health.
Molly announces a welcome party for that evening, prompting Iverson to ask about the Grand Duchess's health while Aiel listens with a stunned expression. While Molly explains that the Duchess is preparing with care and only wants her child's happiness, Aiel looks down with a deeply conflicted and sad gaze.
Molly wonders if the girl is still afraid of her mother, leaving Aiel to dwell on the intimidating prospect of a formal welcome party.